must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go.
Right in the midst of the civil rights movement, when Martin Luther King was saying, free at last, thank God we're free at last, he was not talking about black folk. He was talking about, for the first time in history, whites no longer needed black folk. And whites were free. They now had invented a computer. And computer-driven machinery, they no longer needed you. So the factories started closing down in the North at that point in time. And that's when your crime started going up too. Because not only they started closing down and firing blacks in those major cities, but at that point in time, the public policy on black folks shifted to what it is today. Now, the old public policy, remember, was that black folk were being excluded, subordinated, non-compensated, non-competitive, managed workforce for the personal comfort and wealth building of white society. They shifted it to where it is today. As soon as black people became obsolete in 1966 in the middle of the civil rights movement, the new policy was this. Three things that the whites came up with. One, that no white person in any responsible position will take any responsibility for what's happened to black folk in the past. Two, nobody's going to feel any guilt for what's happened to black folk. And three, that nobody will approve any programs, public policies that will shift the resources from whites to blacks. That's why they're anti-affirmative action, anti-preference treatment, anti-set-aside, anything else. They're not going to let the wealth shift into the hands of blacks under any circumstance. And so because at that point in time, not only had you become obsolete, but they had you nailed to the wall. And so in the civil rights movement, we had made three fatal mistakes by then, and we never knew it. I was the only black in politics in Florida in the governor's office in 1970. Here are the mistakes that occurred. One is throughout the civil rights movement, black people never had a plan. Never had a plan in all those years. All they simply do was they ran from one civil rights movement, one demonstration, and riot to the next. To this very day, blacks don't have a plan. And whites have had plans on us since 1638. You don't have a national plan. No black in America knows where he's going and how he's going to get there, what he's supposed to do. Can you imagine 36 million people, no idea what they're going to do? The second mistake we had made is that somehow they thought by taking down the signs over the bathrooms, over the water fountains, by where blacks could sit, somehow you were dealing with racism.